What is going on, everyone? This is Eric coming at you from just outside of Hartford, Connecticut, and today we're going to look at the Evander Kane trade, which occurred back on February 11th, 2015. Now, this is going to be one of the longer trade breakdowns. I do apologize for that, but this trade was between the Buffalo Sabres and Winnipeg Jets, and saw Buffalo acquire Evander Kane along with two other players from Winnipeg in exchange for 5 assets. So, how did this trade work out? We will start by discussing what the Buffalo Sabres got. And of course, the first player we're going to look at is left wing Evander Kane. Now, Kane would miss the last couple months of the 14-15 season due to a shoulder injury that he had suffered. He had undergone surgery, so they were thinking of him more as a long-term play. Now, in the 15-16 season, he did have 20 goals to go with 15 assists, but he provided a physical presence for a younger, talented Buffalo team, which is weird to say, when he added 171 hits that year. Now, in the 2016-17 season, he continued his physical play by adding 113 penalty minutes and 109 hits. He did score 28 goals that year as well. Now, halfway through the 2017-18 season, he was traded, but it wasn't because he was bad. He had 20 goals to go with 20 assists and 159 hits. Buffalo, on the flip side, was struggling, so they said, let's get some assets for him while we can. So he is sent to San Jose in exchange for 3 assets. The first one we'll look at is center Danny O'Regan. Now, O'Regan, he spent the majority of his year-and-a-half stint in the AHL, but he did appear in 3 NHL games before he would walk as a free agent. Now, more importantly for Buffalo, they got a pair of draft picks. The first one we'll discuss is a 2019 first-round pick. This would be the 29th pick. It gets traded to the Anaheim Ducks along with one other asset in exchange for defenseman Brandon Montour. And Montour proved to be a steady offensive source from the blue line in Buffalo for parts of 3 seasons, as he would record 13 goals, go 29 assists over 112 games before he himself was traded at this trade deadline to Florida in exchange for a 3rd-round pick in the 2021 draft. That pick would become the 88th overall selection, and with that, the Sabres would select right wing Steven Sardarian, and Sardarian, he is currently in Russia, so Russia players, as you know, are a complete shot in the dark. They may hit, they may miss, they may never even come stateside. So, yeah. Buffalo also got a 2019 4th-round pick from San Jose in exchange for Evander Kane. That pick would become the 122nd pick, and that would be traded to the Vancouver Canucks with another pick in exchange for the 102nd pick. And with the 102nd pick in that draft, Buffalo would select defenseman Aaron Hoagland, and Hoagland had a back injury hamper him for 2 years, unfortunately, his draft year and then the year after. But he has recently returned for the team, or for the organization, I should say, and he's played in the USHL. So he was good. He's not great. We'll have to see. You know, there's a reason he fell to the 4th round in that draft. So Buffalo also got 2 more players alongside Evander Kane. The first one we'll look at is defenseman Zach Bogosian. And Bogosian, he had a decent half year, for his first half year, I should say, in Buffalo, where he kind of also brought a physical presence to the Sabres team, which is always nice. So, while there, he had a strong 15-16 season, as he would record 7 goals with 17 assists, while also piling on 86 hits. Now, his play did regress in the 16-17 season, as he only scored a pair of goals to go with 9 assists, and he only brought 97 hits. Now, a hip injury and poor play in the 17-18 season just basically led to a lost year, as he would account for only a single point and assist and 22 hits over 18 games. Now, in the 18-19 season, he did score 3 goals, he added 16 assists, he added 116 blocks and 83 hits, but he would suffer a season-ending hip injury towards the end of the year. Now, after a rough start to the 1920 campaign, in which he just really struggled, he ends up getting waived, and it was pretty bad because he had been sent to the AHL at one point too. So he was just kind of like one of those old school players where he brings a physical play, but yeah, that was it. Now, the last player Buffalo got was goaltender Jason Kasdorf, and Kasdorf appeared in a single game in which he allowed 4 goals in a loss before going down to the minors, and he would spend most of his time in the organization playing in the ECHL before leaving as a free agent. So Winnipeg got 5 assets in exchange for this group of 3, and the first one we'll look at is defenseman Tyler Myers. Now Myers, he would record 3 goals with 12 assists in the 14-15 season. And he had a solid little bit of a breakout in the 15-16 season as he would score 9 goals to go with 18 assists in 73 games before injuries would cut his season short. Now, due to injuries in the 16-17 season, he would only appear in 11 games. Now, he had a solid 17-18 season as he would play in all 82 games, but his offensive numbers did take a slight hit as he would score 6 goals, but he did provide 30 assists. Now, in the 18-19 season, he scored 9 goals once more to go with 22 assists, but after that, he would walk as a free agent. Next, we have right wing Drew Stafford. Now, Stafford would score 19 points, which were 9 goals and 10 assists, over a half season in the 14-15 season. He had an okay 15-16 season that saw him record 21 goals with 17 assists over 78 games, but he had a minimal impact on the defensive side, and he wasn't the best guy when he had to take a faceoff. He had an okay half season in the 16-17 season before he was traded to the Boston Bruins. In exchange for a 2018 fifth-round pick, this would become the 150th pick, and with that, they would select defenseman Declan Chisholm, and Chisholm spent the 2021 season in the AHL, so it remains to be seen if he'll make an impact at the NHL level. So back to this, we have a couple more assets to look at for Winnipeg, and the first one we'll look at is right wing Yoel Armia, and Armia, he was a decent depth piece for 3 years, recording a respectable 26 goals and 32 assists, along with 213 hits over 179 games before being traded. Now, he was traded to the Montreal Canadiens in what was a salary dump. Basically, Winnipeg wanted to get rid of Steve Mason's contract, so they threw in Armia and a pair of draft picks. In exchange, Winnipeg got defenseman Simone Bjork, and Bjork, he did absolutely nothing for the team. So, yeah, like I said, it was a salary dump. He spent 1 year in the AHL. That was it. Now, Winnipeg got 2 more assets here. The next one we'll look at is left wing Brendan Lemieux. And Lemieux, he made his NHL debut early in the 17-18 season, but he would only appear in 9 games. He became the 4th line left wing in the 18-19 season, and he had a respectable season as he would score 12 goals with 5 assists over 63 games before he was traded to the New York Rangers along with a high draft pick in exchange for center Kevin Hayes. Now, Kevin Hayes, he was hoped to be like the spark plug that would help Winnipeg make a run, and he recorded 5 goals with 8 assists over 20 games, but in the playoffs, the team faltered. He did score 2 goals to go with an assist in the 6 games that they played, though. He would end up having his rights traded to the Flyers in exchange for a 2019 fifth-round pick. This would become the 134th pick, and with that, Winnipeg would select center Harrison Blaisdell. And Blaisdell, he is currently in college hockey, so they still have 1 more year to negotiate signing him to an extension. Now, the last asset that Winnipeg got in the original Evander Kane trade was a 2015 first-round pick, which would become the 25th overall selection. With that, they would pick center Jack Roslovic, and Roslovic, he spent 1 game in the NHL in the 16-17 season, but he would become a mainstay on their roster in late December of the 17-18 season, where he ended the year with 5 goals and 9 assists over 31 games. Now, he had 9 goals with 15 assists in the 18-19 season, and the next year he had 12 goals with 19 assists. Now, he could not agree to a contract with the team as a restricted free agent, and he asked to be traded. And they obliged. So they sent him, along with Patrick Laine, to Columbus in exchange for center Pierre-Luc Dubois and a draft pick. So let me get the draft pick out of the way. It's 2022 third-round pick. We don't know where it's going to be. So, yeah, that's why I don't have anything right next to it. But center Pierre-Luc Dubois was probably the bigger name that they got. Well, definitely a bigger name. And he looked okay during the season. He recorded 8 goals with 12 assists. Nothing great, but he could have done much worse. So that covers both Winnipeg and Buffalo. How did all of the secondary teams do? We will start off with the San Jose Sharks, who got the man in the title, Evander Kane. And this one has been a saga. So he recorded 14 points, 9 goals, 5 assists over 17 games for San Jose in the 17-18 season. Now, he had 4 goals in their 9 playoff games that year. After that, he would sign a big 7-year extension with the team. And it looked like it was going to pay off. He had a strong 18-19 season, as he would record 30 goals with 26 assists, while adding 173 hits. And he led the league in penalty minutes with 153. Now, he did help the team make a push to the Western Conference Finals, as he would score 2 goals with 6 assists, but that was across 20 games. His physical play, though, was definitely appreciated. He led the league in playoff penalty minutes with 61 that year. Now, in the 1920 season, he had 26 goals, 21 assists, and 135 hits. He once more led the league in penalty minutes with 122. Now, this is where the story gets interesting. So prior to the 2021 season, Kane announced that he had filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy as he had $26.8 million in debt. Now, on the ice, he still did decent. He had a cold start to the year, but he ended the year with 22 goals and 27 assists. Now, a recent development has seen, it's alleged, his wife alleged that he would bet on games. That is not confirmed. Obviously, we're not here to spread rumors, but it is alleged. And it's also alleged that the vast majority of his teammates want him off of the Sharks. So as of today, as of this recording on the August 11th, he is still a Shark. But I want to get this video up as quick as I can, just in case they decide to trade him away. But we'll have to see. He could get cut. He could get bought out. There's a lot of off-the-ice concerns with Evander Kane. Next, we have the Anaheim Ducks, who got a pair of assets in exchange for Brandon Montour. So the first one that we will look at is left wing, the 2019 first round pick, the 29th overall pick. And with that, Anaheim would select left wing Braden Tracy, who is currently in the AHL. They also got defenseman Brendan Gooley, and Gooley is bounced between the AHL and the NHL, pretty much splitting his time 50-50 between the two leagues. He has okay numbers, but there's a reason he bounces. He's a good 7th defenseman. Now, Florida would get Brandon Montour from Buffalo, and they recently got him. They got him at the 2020 trade deadline, and he provided 2 goals with 2 assists across 12 games for the team. He did not provide any offensive numbers in the playoffs. He did sign a deal to stay with the team, though. So there's that. Now, Vancouver got a pair of draft picks in 2019 from Buffalo. The first one was the 122nd pick, and with that, they would select left wing Ethan Keppen, and Keppen made the jump from the OHL to the AHL during the 2021 season. We'll have to see what happens with him. They also got the 175th pick. That would be used to select right wing Karel Plasek, and Plasek is unsigned and currently playing in his native Czechia. Now, Boston got right wing Drew Stafford. And Stafford had a decent stint in Boston. He provided 4 goals with 4 assists across 18 games, as well as scoring a pair of goals in the playoffs before walking as a free agent. Montreal is an interesting team to look at. Now, they got 4 assets in essentially a salary dump. And we'll discuss Steve Mason real quick. So he was a goaltender. He had signed a bigger deal with the team with Winnipeg. He wasn't producing, and he ends up getting immediately waived by Montreal after this deal. Now, they also got right wing Yoel Armia. Armia has been a dependable depth piece for over 3 years in Montreal. He's recorded 36 goals, 31 assists, and 345 hits over 156 games. He also recently signed I believe it was a 3-year extension to stay in Montreal. He looked pretty good in the playoffs. He's a defensive guy, so he was a good move for Montreal. Now, they also got a pair of draft picks. The first one we'll look at is a 2019 7th round pick. This would be the 206th pick. With that, they would select defenseman Karen Rishchinsky. And Rishchinsky, he's currently playing developmental hockey in British Columbia. We'll have to see what happens with him. They also got a 2024 round pick. This would be the 102nd pick. And with that, they would pick right wing Jack Smith. And Smith is set to play in the NCAA next year as well, so they still have his rights for another year or 2. So now we have a couple more teams to look at. And the first one we'll look at is the New York Rangers. Now, they got 3 solid assets here. The first one they got was left wing Brendan Lemieux. And Lemieux, he was a serviceable bottom 6 forward for parts of 3 years. He would record 11 goals, 20 assists, and 214 PIM before being traded away. We will not be discussing that trade. They also got a pair of draft picks. So just like I did before, with the 2022 pick here, it's a 4th rounder. We don't know where it's going to be, so that's why there's nothing right next to it. But they also got a 2019 first round pick. This would be the 20th overall selection, and New York would trade this away. We will not be discussing that. Next, we have the Flyers, who got the rights of center Kevin Hayes, and they would sign him to a big deal right before the deadline. And he had a strong first year in Philly as he recorded 23 goals with 18 assists. He led the league in shorthanded goals with 4, and he had a career high of 5 game-winning goals for the Flyers. Now, like the team, he regressed in 2021. He recorded 12 goals with 19 assists. It remains to be seen how he's going to do. I actually thought he might be left exposed for the expansion draft, or he might get picked. Didn't work out. Didn't happen that way just because of the contract. Lastly, we have the Columbus Blue Jackets, who got a pair of bigger name players. The first one we'll look at, of course, is center Jack Roslovic. And Roslovic, he signed a 2-year contract with his hometown Columbus Blue Jackets. And he didn't do that great. He had 12 goals with 22 assists in the 2021 season. But he still has time to rebound. We'll have to see. Lastly, they also got the disgruntled right winger, Patrick Laine. And Laine, he's been plagued with defensive concerns ever since joining the team. He got into a verbal altercation with one of the assistant coaches shortly after being acquired, which led to him being benched. And he didn't do much. He really didn't do much. He only scored 10 goals with 11 assists. And after the coach, John Tortorelli, stepped down, he actually went out and kind of bashed him. So you don't really want that in one of your stars. But yeah, so that is the Evander Kane trade. Like I said, there's a lot of interesting moving parts in this trade. You got to see a lot. You got to see how Yoel Armia went to Montreal. You got to see the whole saga of Evander Kane. You got to see Brandon Montour go around. But I hope you guys enjoyed this trade breakdown. I know it was a longer one. I do apologize for that. But have a good rest of your day.